Today in the podcast, we are diving into a massive round of funding an AI startup has just secured, and that is AlphaSense, who's just raised $150 million in funding to essentially advance market intelligence. And they're doing this, of course, amid all of the challenges that are coming in from generative AI. And they've essentially reached a $2.5 billion valuation with this latest round of funding. So today on the podcast, we're going to be diving into everything they're doing, where they're planning on spending the money, and why I see them as a big player going forward into the future. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Welcome to the world's #1 AI podcast, AI Chat. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Make sure that you go to aibox.ai, link in the show notes, to join the waitlist for our new AI platform. We're going to be launching an incredible platform that allows you to build anything you want with workflows in AI. So you're able to chain together ChatGPT and image generators and audio generators to make really powerful apps for your organization, or you can host them on our marketplace and actually generate royalties from them. So make sure to go to aibox.ai and join the waitlist. In addition, if you like the podcast, if you could do me a massive favor and please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. This helps me be able to get better guests on here as they check the reviews to see how you guys are liking it. So if you could please do that, I would really, really appreciate it. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. As the market intelligence industry is growing rapidly, it's actually projected to, I think, reach around $84 billion in revenue this year. Startups and legacy players are both kind of racing to innovate. And I've actually spoken to a number of different market intelligence platforms, and I see a lot of synergy, especially once you start involving AI in the space. So AlphaSense is a New York-based startup that provides a bunch of different cutting-edge solutions in this space. It's announced, of course, like I mentioned, this $150 million Series E funding round, and they're doing this to essentially double down on its expansion efforts. So the round really kind of catapults AlphaSense's valuation to about $2.5 billion, and it is led by Bond with participation from Capital G, which is Alphabet's investment arm focused on larger capital outlays. They also have Viking Global Investors, Goldman Sachs, and a new investor, which is BAM Elevate. The fundraising comes at a time when securing capital and strong valuations is increasingly challenging, except it would appear for AI startups. But even for startups that have really promising technologies, this is a bit of a downturn right now in the markets. So AlphaSense has already gained attention from some of the biggest names in business. They have over 4,000 enterprise customers. The startup serves a wide spectrum of the economy, including a significant portion of the S&P 500, major global banks, consultancies, and tech giants like Google and Microsoft. So the company's strong customer base, and I think the substantial figure of this kind of latest funding round underscore its prominence in an ever-evolving industry. The company's fundraising journey hasn't been without bumps, though. I'll say, while AlphaSense has recently, amassed, I think, around $325 million over the last 15 months via a Series D round, the Series E announcement came after a 3-month delay. So originally this was slated for release in June, and the announcement was kind of pushed back for undisclosed reasons, but I'm assuming maybe the markets weren't favorable or they had some sort of internal issues at the company. And maybe they're waiting to, push out some new products that would make them more exciting and attractive to investors. So what really sets AlphaSense apart in, of course, a sea of market intelligence platforms, I've spoken with a number of them, is really it's more than just a data aggregator. So the platform combines data crawling capabilities with insight extraction. So its huge coverage extends to around 10,000 sources of information. So this is ranging from public and private content to data published by research firms, governmental bodies, and competitors. So AlphaSense has also focused on essentially enriching its financial insights through some strategic acquisitions, such as Stream, which is a platform that transcribes and catalogs expert interviews, and Sentio, which is targeted at investment managers. So The startup is notably leveraging machine learning and natural language processing to convert raw data into digestible narratives and graphics. And according to Jack Coco, who is the founder and CEO of AlphaSense, the platform's value lies in its ability to, quote, focus on the search for unstructured information and provide structure to it. So I think right now the rise of generative AI platforms like, of course, ChatGPT pose a question mark for AlphaSense's future. When asked about the impact, Coco, conceded that ChatGPT gives, quote, somewhat random results and doesn't understand the business or commercial standpoint. However, he was quick to highlight AlphaSense's competitive advantages, saying, quote, we are training our own large language models and we are seeing better performance that way. But he also kind of issued a caveat noting that, keeping pace with advancements is critical for the startup's long-term success. So when we kind of look at, future-proofing market intelligence, what that's going to look like for them and for perhaps others, right? I think AlphaSense appears to be taking sort of a multi-pronged approach to maintaining its edge. I think they're pretty well aware the landscape should definitely change in as little as a year. So as Jay Simmons, who's a general partner at Bondstead, quote, with the ability to deliver the right insights and data to help businesses confidently make everyday strategic decisions, AlphaSense struck us as a category creator emerging into one of those iconic companies that significantly advances how the business would work. So I think in an industry where change is, the only constant, especially everything we're seeing in AI today, AlphaSense is definitely kind of banking on its technology. They're also, banking on their client relationships. And now I think they have a fairly sizable war chest, which they're hoping to use to stay ahead of the curve. All of this being said, though, I really do think that they will face a very significant competition out of OpenAI and ChatGPT, and not necessarily just a vanilla ChatGPT tool, for example. But I also think that, the ability that, OpenAI gives to other developers to use their platform as an API. Of course, AlphaSense is trying to build their own natural language processing and their own AI models and whatnot. But I think there's going to be a lot of platforms that leverage just ChatGPT and try to find ways to essentially get some of the same data gathering and just pair it up with ChatGPT. And AlphaSense is going to have a little bit of competition in this regard. Now, they do have a lot of money. They've just raised a lot of funds. So it's going to be interesting to follow them and see, how far ahead they're able to stay in front of the curve. But definitely a company that's raised a lot of money and one that we'll be following in the future.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.